Yo, what is going on everybody? Shri Kanase here. So tips for running a profitable Shopify store in 2020 and onwards. Now there's a lot of people on YouTube or Facebook groups who post big screenshots showcasing big sale numbers. But the reality is behind the scenes, profits could be anywhere from 1% to 10%, in some cases, which are very rare, 20%. However, it looks like on the more common side, a lot of people are not as profitable as a lot of people think. And this has become a more common issue now in 2020 and onwards, simply because there's a lot of increased competition because of the lockdowns and people losing jobs. More people are wanting to jump into online business to make money staying home. So it is kind of a common thing that a lot of people who are already running Shopify stores may not be as profitable as they would like to be. And by the end of this video, you're going to know enough on how to turn your break even or maybe even unprofitable Shopify store into a highly profitable Shopify store, because there are a few things you have to do right in order to achieve these kinds of results. But without wasting any more time, let's just jump right into it. So the first tip that I have for you guys is that you guys should definitely smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. It'll take just 2 quick seconds and it will jumpstart you on your Shopify profitability journey. Okay, hopefully you have done that. But the real first tip that I have for you guys is the following. Allocate a specific budget for each product test, especially if you run mostly with Facebook ads, or choose one number and stick to that number for the entire Google ads campaign if you specifically want to run ads with Google. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? Well, a lot of people fail to basically stick to one budget when they start running ads for their store. Maybe they have a budget of $200 or $500 or $1,000. And as the advertisement costs start to rise up and reach their budget, they start to panic and they start to make all sorts of decisions, which actually puts them down on the wrong path. And when you start making these decisions under panic or stress, what happens is that your Shopify store does not perform as well as you want. In fact, it could start performing really, really bad simply because the decisions you're making with the advertising platforms may not be the right ones. And this is especially true with Google, because Google Ads is a platform which requires a lot more weighting compared to Facebook or any other platform, because it is a search-based platform. When it comes to Google, you want to be making changes every 7 days, but that is not the case for a lot of people who start to panic once their budget's starting to get depleted. So you always want to choose one budget, whether it is for Facebook ads, and the budget we're talking about is for each product test, or for Google, where the budget here is for the entire campaign, which tests all of the products. Always keep that budget in mind and always stick to it, because if you just blindly start running ads without having any type of budget in mind, or you have a very, very small budget, it is going to be extremely hard for you to become profitable with Shopify in 2020, because now it is true that the required budget has significantly increased again because of the competition on all of these advertising platforms. So that is my first tip, which is to allocate a budget and then stick to that budget, which brings me to my next tip on the list. And this tip is learn the basics of SEO regardless of the platform you use to advertise. Now you may be thinking SEO is more towards Google. I'm not going to run Google, so I'm not going to do it. That could be the worst thing you do, simply because even with Google ads, simply signing up for a Merchant Center account enables you to start running your ads for absolute free via the services across Google program that Google Ads has come up with recently. So because of that program, SEO has become 100 times more important for you to do for your Shopify stores. Not only can you rank via that program, but you can also start organically ranking on the Google searches. And with the ad costs going up significantly every single day now, because again of what's going on in the world, it may be a good choice to start learning about SEO, maybe start implementing those techniques for SEO within your description, because in reality, it doesn't really take a lot of extra work. You're already writing the description, you're already writing a product title. Might as well make it search engine optimized, which is not as hard as you think, so that you can get all of this free traffic coming in, because in 2020 and onwards, you really don't want to be sticking to just one advertising platform. If you want to know more about SEO techniques, I have a whole video on this on my channel. I'll leave the link in the description below for you guys. But search engine optimization and learning the basics of it is an absolute must if you want to basically crush it with Shopify dropshipping in 2020 and onwards. This brings me to my third point on the list, which is mobile optimization is greater than, which means more important than, computer or tablet optimization. Now, the biggest reason why I personally believe having a website optimized for mobile devices is 10 times more important than a computer or tablet optimized website is because 95% of traffic comes from mobile devices. There's just a very high demand for people just searching on their phones, whether they're at their house or whether they're outdoors and just searching for a product. It is much more common to have it done on a mobile device. So you would be decreasing your chances significantly if you never check out your website on your phone and make sure that it is running properly and has a fast loading speed. Because again, as I mentioned, mobile devices is one of the most important platforms you can be using to run your Google ads. But that does not mean that you should simply stop paying attention to computer optimization or tablet optimization. Those are very important too. In fact, a lot of the times on my Shopify store, I have a much higher return on ad spend for computers rather than for phones. But the reality is I get a lot more traffic from mobile devices compared to computers. So you don't want to exclude either of these, but make sure your website is 100% optimized for mobile devices. Let's move on to our fourth tip on the list, and that is simply charge for shipping. A lot of people think of this as a bad thing to do. In fact, a lot of people would have leave this video and they would not be able to view the other great tips I have for them. But it is not a bad thing to be charging for shipping. In fact, I do that for my store. I charge for shipping for all orders under $50. A lot of things happen when you start charging for shipping. Number one thing is that people, if they order below $50, are more inclined to add more products to cart just so they can qualify for that free shipping. Number two, you start adding more money to your overall profits, so you don't really end up going in a loss even on your bad days. And a lot of people talk about conversion rates and how they can be negatively impacted by charging for shipping, and that is far from the truth, because in my own experience, I've really not noticed much of a difference when it comes to conversion rates when charging for shipping versus not charging for shipping. In fact, a lot of the shoppers within the United States don't really even mind, because they know that they're not shopping on Amazon or any of the other bigger brands when they're on your website. So not every single person out there would expect free shipping. So that would definitely not be decreasing your conversion rates as much as you think. Sure, it may impact just a little bit for those people specifically who were expecting free shipping, but I would much rather be profitable at the end of the day than just have a bunch of orders and be unprofitable. But a very simple thing to start doing in 2020 and onwards, simply start charging for shipping. I highly recommend you do less than $3 for shipping. Maybe do a random number like $2.57 or $2.39 just to keep it a little bit random while making it doable for the customer to actually be able to afford it. A very simple trick, but with a very, very large impact on the profitability of your Shopify store. And my fifth tip for you guys is make sure to have a consistent theme throughout your website. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? Well, I've noticed a lot of websites where on the home page, they have a lot of blue and red going on with words that give off playful vibes, but on their product pages, they suddenly transition into using a lot of greens and yellow and pink, and the words on there are very, very serious and straightforward. So this inconsistency with the theme can negatively impact your Shopify store and your profitability. It may seem like a very, very small thing, but in reality, it has a big, big impact on your customer psychology. Potential customer psychology works in your favor when all of the things that they see are consistent. This means the same colors throughout every single page on your website, the same kinds of vibes from the words that you use on every single website, because it kind of adds a little bit of a familiar factor in your customer's head, and this makes it easy for them to relate to each of the pages that they're going on your website. So having a consistent theme is extremely important in 2020, but one of the most lacked things in a lot of the Shopify stores. In fact, a lot of the Shopify stores don't even care about what kind of colors they use, what kind of words they use, because all they're focused on is earning the money. But unfortunately, in 2020 and onwards, if you want to dropship profitably, you have to make sure that the theme is very consistent and people can relate to the overall theme. But let's move on to our sixth tip, and that is don't copy anything. A very simple tip, but I still have to mention it here because I still see many Shopify stores copying each other. In fact, I come across a bunch of Shopify stores almost every single day that just copied my own Shopify store, and it is not very difficult to see that these Shopify stores are not making any money, because in reality, business is not as easy as just copying and pasting things. Otherwise, everybody doing dropshipping would be millionaires by now. And if you start to copy things, especially if you see an ad on Facebook or if you're selling on Google and you copy one of your competitors, most likely the customers that land on your website may have already seen the other ad as well, because that is why they're on your website. They were already targeted by one of the interests that you may have chosen or someone else may have chosen. And on Google, it is much more easier to kind of get an idea of whether you're copying or not, because all of your competitors are literally right next to each other on the very top on the Google Shopping Ads platform. So this makes it very easy for your customers just to do a little bit of extra research to find out whether you are copying anybody or not. And again, in 2020 and onwards, that is really not going to be working. So always make sure to put original content. Always make it your own content. Of course, you can take ideas from others and kind of make up your own things based on the ideas, but never word for word copy anything. But that brings me to my 7th point on the list, and that is keep track of your profits and loss statements on a weekly basis or even a daily basis if possible. I cannot emphasize how many times I've seen good Shopify stores fail because the dropshipper was thinking that their store was profitable, so they were continuing to spend money until at the end of the month they realized that their bank account balance was zero, and then when they went through their profits and loss statement, they saw that they were actually losing money instead of gaining money on every single day. This is one of the most saddest ways to end your Shopify store and your dropshipping store. You want to always be keeping track of your profits and loss statements, and if you can, track it often. These numbers are changing on a daily basis. If you're not sure if you're making any types of profits, it's really going to be difficult for you to continue scaling your store and continue scaling your winners, because without looking at the numbers, you really should not be taking any types of decision. And keeping track of your profit and loss statements makes this an extremely easy task, especially when you start scaling your Shopify store. But that brings me to point number 8, and that is start offering more product bundles. This is one thing a lot of people don't do, and that is offer product bundles. It is extremely important in 2020 because not only does this give you the ability to charge more and earn more profits for every product sold, but it also kind of helps you stand out of the crowd, because in reality, if you just think about it, not a lot of Shopify dropshippers offer any types of bundles, whether it's on Facebook or Google or any other platform. So when you come in with the product bundle, it automatically puts you out of the crowd and makes you a little bit special. And when your bundles do start selling, that's when you start earning more and more profits compared to your other competitors, and it becomes very easy to drive them out of business. And again, offering bundles is an easy way to do this. Now, don't confuse this with offering upsells and downsells, because upsells and downsells, it is an optional thing for the customer, whereas with the bundle, the whole product page is just showcasing maybe a bundle of a certain product where you sell 2 products as a whole instead of selling it individually. And again, offering bundles is a much better way to go than just offering upsells and downsells. Of course, you want to also do upsells and downsells, but adding product bundles again will help you increase your overall sales. And this brings me to my last point on the list, and that is simply start dropshipping from eBay and Amazon. I've already made a video on this you can check out on my channel. It's really not that hard. You're doing the same things as you would with AliExpress, but there are tons of different benefits. Benefit number 1 is that you're offering a product to a customer at a much faster delivery time, which means they're more likely to come back and purchase from you. Number 2, you're gonna have more happy customers and less disputes and chargebacks. And number 3, your profits may actually increase because a lot of the times AliExpress suppliers charge much more in terms of shipping compared to what it would cost you to buy on eBay or Amazon. So in that way, you're actually saving more money and actually getting more profits while offering faster shipping options. So this is really an amazing thing I've started to do more often in 2020 and onwards, and it's something I highly recommend, especially if you want to run a profitable store in 2020 and onwards. If you found any type of value in this video, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.